What's going on, you guys? It's a new day. It is Thursday. Guys, how about them boys? How about them boys, dog? They came out firing, man.
2-1, baby. Let's
Jeez.
go.
Yeah,
Proving me
man. Good.
wrong. Gee whiz, man. Okay, so like I said, the Eagles had underestimated me, right? I did say that. I'm not going to take it back. But man, them boys, they were ready. Defensively, Eagles had one good possession. That's where they got the touchdown in the end zone when they stripped the ball from Dak Prescott. But geez, man, they just had no mercy. I thought I was watching Cobra Kai for a second, man. No mercy out there in that field, and it was really a tight end game because those tight ends were killing it, not just on one side, but on the Eagles side as well. I mean, that's all really you could get to. But defensively for the Cowboys, you got to give it to Parsons. He had one heck of a game,
Heck
and
yeah.
I hope he's okay too. I know he kind of wobbled off at the end. I think he got the air knocked out of him. And then two is Diggs. That guy is a freak
Oh, that
out
guy's
there in the
awesome.
corner position.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's sprouting to be a great cornerback
You
for
know,
the
the
team.
second year, he is playing phenomenal, just like his brother.
hmm
Just like his brother. If you guys don't know, the corner for Diggs in the Cowboys team, his brother is Stephon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills, the number one wide out there. So I think that's awesome. His little son, I was watching it on what was it, Hard
Hard
Knocks,
knocks.
and he
Yeah.
was like, "My favorite player is Stephon Diggs." I thought it was just awesome, and I was like, "Dude, your dad's a football player. Look out!"
Right.
That's cool though. Just imagine, just like the Bolster brothers, the Watt brothers. I think it's so awesome having family there in the most prestigious league of football and just being televised every week. I mean, it's just awesome, truly, truly awesome. But yeah, honestly, what a great game. That
It
was
was
really
awesome.
fun to watch. I mean, it was fun at the beginning, and then towards the end, you're just like, Eagles, you sure you just don't want to run the ball, just run the clock? Ugh.
I wanted them to pass it more, man. I wanted a few more first downs. I lost on my fantasy by 1 point because of Hurts.
Hey, it
But
be like that sometimes. It
yeah,
it really be like that. And also in fantasy, what really didn't hurt me, I didn't lose the game, whatnot. But yeah, for the second week in a row, Amari Cooper, he cannot. I mean, he's not getting the targets. And what I saw today was truly disgusting. And what I watching the Cowboys is both Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Like if it's not going their way, the play, or if the play's like been running a while, they just give up. I mean, you could totally tell like they just do not try to make life easier for Dak or try to get open or just anything to try to sell the play either. That's stuff I don't like. I mean, that happens with every team. It happens with the Niners as well. It's just you just got to have that discipline and that respect to continue on the play, even if it's not going your way. But,
yeah, man. They
but
need to
man,
watch some film on the Seahawks. Every time their quarterback's scrambling for their life, those guys are scrambling as well. So they
that's
gotta
very
take
true.
take some notes.
A big part of it, I just feel like DK likes hitting people. I think that's a huge part of it. But what was y'all's biggest takeaway from the game?
My biggest takeaway was Mika Parsons, like you said, but playing him at defensive end, I think that was pretty awesome. Seeing him get experience on the line and learning how to not learning, but getting more physical and bringing out more potential in you and as a player that Dan Quinn is doing. Um, so I think that was pretty cool. He played pretty great. He was getting to the quarterback. He's getting more practice. But I think the big question is, Dan Quinn, is he really turning around this defense in Dallas? And I think he's doing a pretty great job.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. I'll talk about the same thing I talked about last week with the Cowboys. That run game was spectacular. I know it wasn't highlighted because they didn't have too many touchdowns. I think Zeke just had one, but they were getting like 8 and 9 yards every run. Like there'd be like an anomaly play where they get stopped in the backfield or get like 2 yards, 3 yards. But him and Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard were going off. So they had I think pretty sure by the end of the game they were averaging 6, 7 yards a carry.
Yeah, I noticed that, and it just surprises me because I didn't see many adjustments in the defensively for the Eagles. Like you would think, after getting bulldozed and bulldozed over and over again, you
Mhm.
would adjust. They had a two drop, and I was watching half of the NFL Network and half of the Peyton Manning and Eli Manning podcast. They said themselves they're just exposing that two drop, getting it down the field, just finding those gaps, and forcing one of the safeties to come down to help out with the run. And it was just bad. There was no adjustment there. You have a good defense, but you need to, you know, coach that defense to adjust. Not just him, it's the coordinator as well. It's one huge problem that I had with the Niners when Robert Saleh was there. He would never adjust until the second half, which I feel like that's what they kind of did. Uh,
Yeah, they had their troubles. I mean, they have a great line. They have a great guy in '97. I can't remember his last name, but he was the one that forced that fumble on Dak in the beginning. I believe after that he still had two more sacks. So he's a great guy, but they got to help him in the flats, man. They were killing him on the
Yeah.
run. And they were killing him with the tight ends. That's
Hmm.
something else I want to highlight on too later on when we talk about fantasies, pickups.
Right. But before we get into that, there's one thing I do want to mention. It was mentioned on Hard Knocks as well by Mika Parsons' mother. She was like, "Oh, at this rate, my baby's going to be the rookie of the year, right?" And it's awesome because he's playing lights out right now. He really is. And it would be awesome to see him rookie of the year because he's a defensive player. I feel like it's
Yeah.
so tough because let's look at the rest of the league, like Jamar Chase, right? That guy is tearing up the league as a rookie and offensive player. You're getting all these touchdowns, all these points. You're talking about this for fantasy. Pick him up. So yeah, it's. I feel like it's more likely for it to be a offensive player than it is a defensive player. Just like how MVP candidates more likely to be a QB than it is to be any other position, or especially a defensive player in that aspect as well. But do you think at this rate, Mika Parsons making a good run for at least defensive rookie of the year?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I said, the one though I think you said something pretty excellent. He gives it his all. He doesn't look back. He doesn't take breaks. He's full of energy. He's ready to go. He's young. He's fast, and he's kind of reliable. If Van Der Esch Smith don't get there, he's gonna get there. He's running sideline to sideline, so that makes us a really special player, especially at linebacker. You don't find those too often.
Yeah, man. I think right now he's definitely in the top five in anybody's category of rookie of the year. Right now, I have him third. I have Jamar Chase first, just because of the spectacular season he's having right now. Then I have Najee Harris. He's making a comeback. I know the first 2 weeks he didn't have stellar games, but this past game he did very well. Even though they lost, he had a great impact on what they're trying to uh, build around him there. So yeah, I have Micah Parsons at third or fourth. Uh, I haven't been keeping up with the rookies because I just know those QBs aren't. It's a tough one out there, man. For them, defensive has looks like they're getting better, and they're just exposing these new quarterbacks that are coming in that are not ready yet.
Yes, they are. Speaking of defenses exposing new quarterbacks and weak systems, let's talk about fantasy. Now, for fantasy, if you are like me, I switch out my defense almost every week. Okay. So this past week, no one has the Broncos defense. No one has them because no one listens to NSP. No one listens to AJ Alvarado. So I picked them up because they were playing against the New York Jets and they came out with 16 points. Did it help? Yeah.
Yeah, you're already
Yeah.
winning.
Did I need it? Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? That's not the whole point. It's all about matchups, you guys, for fantasy. That's just the way I play. Some players like to hold on to a very strong defense and hold on to them all year long. Me, I used to do that, but then sometimes you just get screwed. You get injuries off of defense. You get your bye week, and that just really messes you up. Then you have and then you sometimes you get stuck without a good defense if you don't pick one early enough. So ever since last year, I think it was last year, 2 years ago. Every week I look at matchups and look at how they play out. It could be two bad teams playing up against each other. I probably still won't pick one of those up. It's all about matchups and what the offensive scheme is and how the defense plays. Yeah, this past week I had the Broncos. They played against the New York Jets. Boom, that's an automatic. I feel like any team that's going up against New York Jets, that's who you should get. I already put my waiver wire in for I think it's the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are playing the New York Jets this week 4. So I already put my waiver wire in for one league because my other two leagues they already picked up because they're the Titans. And so another team to look out for who should be available or will more than likely be available are the Cincinnati Bengals. Not only did they play great this past week, but this upcoming week they're going against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
Okay, and if you've been watching Trevor Lawrence, that hot mess over there in Jacksonville is not getting better anytime soon. So if you guys are looking for a nice, good defense, you gotta look for Tennessee and you gotta look for Cincinnati. And if both of those are taken, guys, you can even go for a far reach, and you can even get someone like the Buffalo Bills or the New Orleans Saints. Bills are going against Texans. Saints are going up against New York Giants.
Mhm.
Um, so those are good pickups as well, just so you can stay around that 10-point range. So your defense is actually a factor and not just getting 6 to 7 points or less. That's my defensive aspect for fantasy.
Not bad. I would agree. I'll just highlight one more team. I have them right here on one of my pickups as well. The Colts are going against Miami. Miami's got Brissett. I know they put up quite a bit of points this past week, but sometimes just some teams just have your number. So I feel like the Colts could do something. They have a good defense overall. They haven't had a week yet where they scored negative points or below 3 points at all. So they're always a good defense, but it's just, of course, you got to look for those matchups again and who's going to get you like a defensive touchdown or something like that. So hard, but I agree with AJ on all his picks.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What do you think, Gabe?
I think you're 100% right, especially on the defense. That's pretty good. I like to have two defenses, one as a backup just in case, like you said. But that's an excellent idea on the switching them out and looking out for opportunities. I know I had the Patriots defense. Obviously, I was expecting them to go above and beyond, but they still managed to get at least little 5 points. In one league, I had the Bucks defense. I was expecting them to get some at least an interception and at least some sacks to get to Stafford, but it didn't happen there. So definitely some good advice from Mondo if you're listening up.
Thank you. And just for an extra example, because this could play out in different scenarios as well. Like I said, I had the Broncos defense. Week 4, they're going up against the Ravens. Now, I know the Broncos have a good defense, and I know they're going to hold up pretty well, but you're trying to look for the best possible outcome. So that means sacrificing a good defense for a better outcome that week. That's a risk that you should be willing to take for fantasy, because that's what fantasy is all about. It's all a gamble, baby. That's what it is.
Yep.
Speaking of gambles, we mentioned this our last podcast. Josh Gordon just reenlisted into the NFL. Okay, so does this mean, oh my gosh, Josh Gordon, this guy's my savior. I'm gonna pick him up before anyone else does. He's gonna help my team lead to victory. No, that does not. This is what I did. This is what I'm planning to do. And remember, guys, this is the first time I'm laying out everything on the table on how I think for fantasy. So I gotta cash in this year in all my leagues because next year you guys have the blueprint on how I think. And now it's up to y'all to pick that up and actually do something with it. So Josh Gordon, right now, there's no waiver wire on him. There shouldn't be, at least not in the NFL fantasy. He's out there. I think he just got put back on the NFL app. So you pick him up, you drop that one guy that is like, you're real iffy about, like maybe got 1 or 2 points this past week, unless you're an absolute stud and your whole bench is like the 2016 Spurs. Then you drop one of them. Okay, you have Josh Gordon, and the goal is to find that one sucker in the league to trade before he even gets a snap. Okay. And I say sucker because you don't know how he's gonna play. You don't. He's a stud. So, I mean, he could get on the field and he could put you some good points a couple of games, right? But do not rely on him to get you those points. Okay, take the safe bet, trade someone, get someone decent in return. You could a high reach will be Claypool, and I say that's a high reach because Claypool, Joseph, we just talked about this, man. Juju's coming back. Johnson's coming back. Claypool is going to be relevant for maybe 1 or 2 more weeks. And at that, he's not going to be the number one receiver. You still have Washington out there. He's not going to be that guy. So he doesn't have that high enough standard to trade for an Amari Cooper, even though he's having bad weeks. He's an elite wide receiver out there. Okay, so that's just my example of Josh Gordon. If you really want to pull something tricky like a trick play, that's the way to go.
I agree, man. I agree. Whenever I know Antonio Brown was coming back off of those little scandals that he's having, some problems at home, stuff like that. But I remember when he came back, everybody was like, "Oh, get him, get him, get him!" And he actually had some good games when he came back. Uh, it was a short-lived thing, but last year is his only year that he actually played a majority of the season, and he's got some good games. But right now he's got COVID, so who knows? Maybe Josh Gordon will be something like that too. Maybe have one game where he scores 20 points, one game where he has 1 point. So, like AJ
Exactly.
said, gamble.
It's all lining up for him too because Antonio Brown, he's out with an illness. Travis Kelsey, he's getting double teamed. He's getting frustrated on the sideline. You saw it last week. And Tyreek Hill, he's just having a real off year. Like it is just weird to the point where people are putting blame on Patrick Mahomes. And they can't rely on that run game because Hilaire, he's he's
Up in the
he's
front.
being yeah
We
he's not
watching.
being that elite running back that he needs to be for that team. So there's a lot of potential there with Josh Gordon. So if you guys really want to, if you can't get that trade in, don't sweat it. Keep him in, see how he does. Just like what people did with OBJ when he was injured. Came back this week, 13 points, not too bad. I predict him to go up, but remember Jarvis Landry's coming back, so that production can go down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Sounds about right. I
See,
mean, I think the same way as you, AJ. You always got to
yeah.
look for that person who is like, has got like a little sparkle in their eye when they see someone's name in the
Oh
trade.
yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they totally don't even look at the rest of the trade that you're trying to get. So
Yes, yes.
you just got
And
to,
guys, for those of y'all out there who are trading like 3 or 4 people for one person, that doesn't work. Don't do that.
yeah,
That
man.
does
I
not
mean,
work.
I can't talk too much. I just did like 3 or 4 trades where I traded 1 for 2, but I got like good players. I got like a Mike Williams for like an Allen Robinson and then a
Ooh.
little rinky dink running back. I mean, Mike Williams just gave me 33 points off of that trade. So, I mean, those other guys combined would have given me like 15, 20. So you have to do good 2-for-1 deals, sometimes even good 2-for-3 deals, but
Yeah, but
it's
you
hard.
shouldn't be doing a 1 for 3 deal
Oh, no.
like ever because then now you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because you can only hold so many players. Just so people could know. I know you know,
Oh,
but
yeah. And then
that's another question that we've been getting asked a lot too is Robinson. Is his stock value going down?
it's plummeting, my friend.
It is plummeting, but you shouldn't feel like you're drowning. If you could trade him, trade him. Do not drop him. Trade him, trade him. If you cannot, then hold on to him because there's a sliver of a chance. The only reason why he's plummeting is because they cannot figure out what's going on in the quarterback position right now. Once they figure that out, once they start getting the tracks going, he will start producing you some points. Not amazing points like 20 points a week, but I feel like he's a good 15-point guy to have eventually if they ever figure out that quarterback position.
For sure, man. Yeah, I feel like if they get Andy Dalton back or Nick Foles in for the time being, I feel like his production will go up just a little bit. Like you said, not a 20-point guy. Maybe that anomaly where he does get 20 points 1 week, but he's averaging like 5 receptions. Maybe I think the highest his yards are were like in the high 40s. No touchdowns. I think this past week he had one touchdown, but even then his points were like 14 points. So it's a decent amount of points, but he's not very reliable, and he's not getting the touches that he should be getting, that he was projected to get.
Right. I mean, I'd rather have reliable than break out every now and then, you know? But that's just me.
Mhm.
So going out to when you're looking at free agency, everything we've been talking about, let's say they're not available, you have a horrible team, you drafted horribly, don't sweat it. That's what fantasy football is all about. This is where your skill comes in. Okay. And this is where we come in to help you with the best possible scenarios. Okay. You heard us last week talk about Osborne. You talk about um the guy from the Cardinals. Was it
More,
Randall? Randall Moore?
yeah,
Randall Moore. Now, they didn't have great games, right? But doesn't mean their stock value is really going down because what we call those guys, they're the scrappers, the scraps, right? So you pick up those scraps, hoping that one of them turns out to be a diamond in the rough, and if it's not, then it could potentially be trade value. Let's say they're just bringing in around 10 points a game, eight. I mean, maybe not eight, but around 10 points a game. Then you could put that for those 2-for-1 deals to help someone out if someone's really hurting in a certain position. So for this upcoming week, guys, in week 4, do you guys have any free agents who you could say pop out? Any
got a
scrappers?
couple. Got a couple. I mean, right now the number one guy right now in running backs is Chuba Hubbard, just because CMC's hurt. So I mean, if nobody's picked him up in your league, you need to get out of that league and get to another league, because that league's not serious. If you're looking for a serious league to play in and those guys aren't picked up yet, you got a problem. Uh, Maybe you're just in there to win some easy money, but you know, I know, like me, AJ, and Gabe here, we like to be competitive. So
Well, very much so.
every week's a money gambling week right there, man. So, but yeah, running backs, Chuba Hubbard. Uh, right now, this guy we have not talked about him on the show yet. I was hesitant to do it last week just because he barely came back. His name is Zacchaeus Moss. He plays for the Bills.
Oh my
Ooh,
gosh,
yeah,
He's
that
yeah.
taking
guy's
a
a
lot of
heartbreaker, man.
he's taking a lot of projection from Singletary right now. Last week he had 2 touchdowns. This week I think he only had one, but you have him on there.
I got
Yeah,
on my notes. Yeah.
yeah. So I was hesitant last week just because I was like, oh, they're just using him in the red zone. He's not going to be reliable. But this week he came out and he showed me that he's more reliable than I think.
So
So
you would say Vincent Zacchaeus Moss is a really good back because in the red zone the Bills use him efficiently, but
no.
but
So
while
that's
the Bills are driving, they use Singletary more often.
No, this is what I'm saying. I said last week I didn't know if he was reliable because they were only using him in the red zone. But this week they showed me that they use him more often outside of the red zone. He had 13 carries for 60 yards. He didn't have a touchdown there, but he had a reception touchdown and then he had 3 receptions for 31 yards. So if I compare him to Singletary, I don't have Singletary on here right now, but if you give me a second, I'll get him up here. Uh,
Yeah, I'll buy you some time. You see, the way we do things, y'all, if you guys are wondering, we don't just look at the points they get or, oh, maybe this guy's popping out. I know Vince does this because I do this a lot. We actually go back to certain games, not just the highlights, but see what teams are doing and how they're playing that offense. So, like what he was saying with Moss and Singletary, they're actually getting Moss more carries, so they're switching out more, and he could potentially beat out Singletary for that starting running back position.
yeah, so I got him up right here. Devin Singletary had a little bit more rushing attempts than Zacchaeus Moss. He had 11, but only 26 yards. And then in the passing game, where Singletary is supposed to be better, he only had 2 receptions for 1 yard. So if that doesn't show you that he's taking production out of Singletary's hands right there, yeah. So he's a good running back. I'm not saying he's your running back 1 or 2. He's a good flex player, but definitely give him a shot if he's still in your league, because out of the 3 leagues that I'm in, he's still available.
Nice, nice. Another guy from the Bills that I want to mention, guys. This is a huge position, believe it or not. I never used to think this, the tight end position. Now, the tight end position, that's where you could win games possibly just same thing as your defense. If your tight end could get you at least 10 points, you're good. You are good. And I'm talking about Dawson Knox. He's a tight end for the Bills. And what amazes me is that he's only owned in 10% of the leagues. No
Yep.
one's picking him up because no one knows his name. This guy is being consistent. And the first week he had 8 points. Second week he had 9 points. The third week he had 14 points. He's his targeting is not targeting, but his production is increasing more and more by the week. Just this past week he had 5 targets and 1 touchdown. Now for a tight end, if you're not a tight end heavy offense, that's darn good for targets.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge guy, could potentially be a huge not potentially. He will be a game changer in your team. Don't believe me? Pick him up, sit him on your bench for 1 week, and then tell me I'm wrong. But that's
That's pretty
huge.
good, AJ.
Thank you. Thank you. That's one big guy I want to talk about. Another guy who is not being used as much, where I'm very surprised for, and then one side of me is not very surprised either, is still with the Bills, wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders. I love Emmanuel Sanders. He was with the Niners for a little bit. I love the guy. He just didn't fit in with their system anymore. But just this past week, he had 26 points, and some people are get very discouraged because there's Stephon Diggs on the team. There's Cole Beasley, which they've both been doing pretty darn good. Cole Beasley especially, but Emmanuel Sanders, he's only owned at 21% of rosters. Guys, he's out there. He's open. He's a good pickup just in case he really pops off, or if an unfortunate injury happens. He's that guy, you guys. He had 6 targets with 2 touchdowns last game. Huge.
All right. Going back to tight ends, I got one guy on here he's only rostered on 58%, which is pretty high for a tight end, but he's only started in 15% of the leagues. So if he's either on your free agency list or he's on someone's bench because they have a better tight end, trade for this guy, pick up this guy. His name is Tyler Higby, and he's on the Rams. The Rams are a pass heavy team right now. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but they have not been running as they usually do in past years. So they still do have a good running back core back there, but they're used more in the passing game. So Tyler Higby, he's a dump down guy, but his percentage of catches is insane. Right now, he is 11 for 12. This guy's every time they pass it to him, he's pretty much automatic. And right now, reception yards, he's got over 120 reception yards along with 1 touchdown. So in week 1, he had 11.8 points against a good defense in Chicago. Second week against Indy, they didn't really use him. He had 1.8 points, only 1 catch. So that's his downfall. He's not as consistent as you'd want him to be. But this past week, he proved me wrong again. He scored 15 points on 5 catches. So he's got Arizona next, so it's going to be a tough game. So if you can pick him up and have him on your bench, he's got a great 5-game stretch after that against Seattle, Giants, Detroit, Houston, and then after that he's got Tennessee. So I mean, if you need him, if you have a really really bad tight end who's not producing for you, he's got you like 2 points, 3 points. Pick up this guy. He's better because he'll get you some points every other week, if not every week. So that's another guy.
Nice, nice. I have 2 diamond in the rough players here.
Mm.
So diamond in the rough players, you guys, potential diamond in the roughs, I should say.
Yeah,
They're
there you
not
go.
they're not going to be diamond in the roughs for sure, but they have the potential to be. These are scraps that could be possibly no names into some names that you might see in ESPN and NFL. Okay, Gabe's not going to like this, and probably Vince's not going to like this either because I already told them, and they're not very happy with it. But I got Broncos wide receiver Tim Patrick. He's been doing very consistent with the Broncos, and now that Jerry Judy's injured, I thought Sutton will be taking a lot of the load. They trying with him, but they're just overloading him defensively. And Tim Patrick needs to step it up. He's going to step it up. He's been consistently getting 13 to 14 points every week. And the only thing that's hurting him is that he's not getting the targets that he needs. So hopefully that could change. His yak percentage is freaking awesome. That's yards after catch. So after he catches the ball, I mean, he gets some yards. He gets those points somehow. He doesn't get touchdowns, but I'm thinking in the near future that will change. So that's Tim Patrick, right receiver from the Broncos. And my second guy, Gabe's not going to like this. I got Jacoby Myers. He is slowly becoming Mac Jones' go-to guy. He's been increasing in targets, increasing in catches, and increasing in points. Just this past week, he had 18 points. Second week, he had 7 points. That was his lowest. First week, he had 10. He's only rostered 20% of rosters out in the NFL Fantasy Football League. And this past game, he had 14 targets. So that's pretty darn good with 94 yards. No touchdowns, but I think that could change. They were just getting slaughtered by the New Orleans Saints. So I think that had a huge play on it. But hopefully they come back firing. And Jacoby Myers is that guy. So that's my two players that could potentially be a diamond in the rough.
Well, I gotta match you, AJ. This guy's not a diamond in the rough because he's already on a lot of rosters, but it's only 62%. Jalen Wado, man. I talked about him earlier this year. He's been great, and he has gotten even better. First week, he had 16.1 points against a tough Buffalo team where they got demolished. He only had 8.8, so that's understandable when your offense isn't clicking at all and your quarterback gets hurt. But with Brissett, he's becoming his favorite receiver right now. He had 13 targets, 12 catches, 17 points. He only had 58 yards receiving. But if you're getting 13 targets, wow. I'm going to pick that guy up, especially if you play in a PPR league. Pass per reception, that's what that stands for. Every time you get a catch, that's 1 point, or however your league is set up. But 12 catches. He just got 12 points on just catches alone.
That's so more than Amari Cooper.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's another guy. If he's on someone's bench, trade for him, get like a little measly scrap guy, trade for him. Maybe that person doesn't really want Waddle for some reason. But yeah, if he's not on your free agency, that's another guy I would say to trade for, especially with Brissett going up against Indy and Tampa Bay in the next 2 games. So their defenses aren't great against the pass. So I see Waddle doing some good things right now.
Nice. I like it. You got anything to add, Gabe?
Not really. I think those are some pretty good pickups right now. What I'm dealing with, and maybe other people might be dealing with, is injuries. I had Shepard go out this week. That was a huge blow. So just looking for some scraps, like you guys would say. That's some really good pickups. I think this is an opportunity to join on in and listen to these guys talk about fantasy if your team's getting hurt or players are going down.
Thanks. And that was our fantasy talk. I know we don't cover everything, you guys. We don't want these episodes to be hours long because it can be if we wanted to. You should see Vince's and I's messages just talking about fantasy, just back and forth. And it's they're literally just paragraphs, and we could go on and on about it. But guys, feel free if you guys have any questions, message us here in the video or just message us on our social medias. I'll go ahead and put the banner up right now for our Twitter. Go ahead and find us there at NSP Football Talk on Twitter. Just shoot us a DM. Our DMs are open for everyone. Now, but before we end out the show, you guys, we do have Thursday night football, which that is tonight for y'all. It is a couple more days for us, so lame. But I'm looking forward to this game because, as you guys know, or if you guys don't know, the Bengals are my second favorite team. So I love them Bengals, baby. And I was not expecting them to be doing this good. But geez, this schedule is in their favor this week. They're going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, against Urban Myers and his team that he wished was a college team. I don't know what his mindset is. Maybe he should have stayed at college. Maybe should have taken the USC job. I don't know. He should have
Oh,
just kept Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow would have sent him prayers enough to win the games. But you know what, guys? That's not the case. Wish everyone the best of luck, especially Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that guy's he's a young guy. Hopefully, he doesn't get burned out like a lot of these rookie QBs do. But look at Joe Burrow. That guy's standing out. So to look forward to, also in fantasy, Jamar Chase. If you guys have Jamar Chase, and if you guys are like me, who had him on their bench for 3 whole weeks because you didn't trust him, I think it's time, especially this game against the Jacksonville defense. That's the guy who you definitely need to start. Start Jamar Chase. He should, not he will get you some good points. Joe Mixon as well. They're going to take complete advantage of that defense. And you guys don't need me to say about Derrick Henry over there in Tennessee Titans going against New York Jets. You already know what's going to happen there.
oof.
It's not going to be pretty.
Not going to be fun.
So as you guys know, we always predict the games. So these guys are getting ready while I'm talking. So they have great artistic skills, and I don't get to have such a nice picture because I don't have enough time like them. But I will do my best as I always do, which I think I'm doing this right. I'm a
Oh,
fake
man,
fan.
I saved my pictures for the schedules, my friend. That's it. I'll let you guys shine for the rest of the year.
I miss those schedules, man. We had a good time doing them.
Yeah,
That was
dude.
awesome.
I mean, if y'all can see up here, I still got every game on the list with scores and everything. And I even have my little record of what I predicted this past summer when we were doing the division rivalries and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm still keeping up with my board, making sure good use on that thing.
Nice. I like it. I like it.
But yeah,
Well,
man, I just want to highlight a little bit more on Jamar Chase. I've been telling AJ the past 2 weeks, man. Ever since that first game, I was like, AJ, this guy's gonna go out and ball. Like, put him in. And he's like, nah, man, I don't know. It's barely week one. I was like, all right, give him another week. Week two goes long. I was like, AJ, this guy's balling. He had 2 touchdowns today. He's like, oh, I don't know, bro. I don't know. They're going up against a good team this next week. And then again, scores
I was
another
wrong. I overestimated the Steelers. If that's what you want to hear, yes, I was wrong. I kept Amari Cooper in over Jamar Chase, and that was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. But if you guys want to know, sorry for my poor art skills. I got the Bengals winning when I put 32-10 right
Yeah,
there. I got a high scoring game for the Bengals. I feel like they're going to find their identity and they're going to really gain some confidence this game.
dang, Gabe, what you think?
I think what you guys said was right about the Bengals. The Bengals here, I got some stats going on. We got 8 touchdowns in the season. 7 of those touchdowns were actually passing. So Bengals are passing. Burrow's doing good. It's great to see him coming off last season of that ACL injury. It looked like he never happened. He's playing phenomenal. And I like to say, Mondo said this in the beginning of the year, the Bengals are going to be someone to look out for, and I jumped on the bandwagon. So they're winning, and I like it. It's good to see a young team go out there and just play like they're young. It's just awesome. So I got the Bengals, baby. You go, kitty cats, right here, baby. Bengals got the 24-17. I'm gonna go 1-1. I picked the Texans the other day, not so good, and got the Bengals right here tonight.
Heck yeah, boy. Well, Gabe, you chose right because I'm 1-0 on Thursday night games, or 2-0. Yeah, 2-0. Sorry. But yeah, so I got the Bengals winning too, and I got a little stat on the bottom there if y'all can read that.
Jamar Chase, 100 yards, 8 receptions, 1 TD. That's
So
pretty low.
yeah, I mean, when they're going to go up against the Jaguars, they're probably going to be using Mixon a lot just to get the game going along.
Oh, you're
So
right. Yeah.
I think they're going to do a lot more running this game, but Jamar Chase is still going to get his touches. So.
Well, all right, guys. Well, there you have it. We've been Not So Pro. This is our fantasy talk with a Thursday night football pregame. You guys will be watching this Thursday. Feel free to shoot us a question, you guys. Doesn't matter what it's on. It could be on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify. We're everywhere, baby. Wherever you can find a podcast, that's where we're at. Till next time, you guys, keep on grinding. We'll see you guys live on Monday.